Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and before we get started, I'd like to introduce Mimi to the channel. You're going to be seeing Mimi so much more over the coming weeks and months. So let's get on to the real subject at hand. Behind me, I have the X2 M35i, and to my left, we have the iX2. Both look very similar, but in this video, we're going to go around, just sort of talk about our opinions on them and what are the main differences. So we've seen these cars quite a lot, haven't we? What's your opinion on the new X2 design?
Well, personally, I actually really like it. My favourite feature has 100% got to be the iconic glow kidney grille. I loved it on the new i5 and I love it even more in here now. It just gives such a nice tie together of the whole front of the vehicle. I was following
you or you were following me, whichever one was. There was one of these cars in my rearview mirror, I can't remember which. And then the iconic glow just looked fantastic. I can't imagine what it'd be like at night, because it's quite bright today, but it still looked fantastic. On the grills, that's our first point of difference between these two cars. Of course, the electric, the iX2, doesn't need a grill to open because it's electric and doesn't need as much cooling. Whereas the M35i, because we've got a 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine with around 300 horsepower, around the same sort of horsepower as that actually, it needs these adaptive grills here, which open up when the car gets hot, which it did earlier, which actually took us by surprise a little bit.
I really like that. I wasn't quite expecting it to do it, but I have to say I really did like it.
We both looked back and was like, it's just opened up, like what's going on there? It was really bizarre. Other than that, do you know the differences between these in terms of visuals? No, I haven't got a clue. I'll tell you, don't worry, there's not actually that much. So the 35i has this sort of gloss black splitter down here, which you notice the iX2 doesn't have. And then, as you move along the side, door mirrors are slightly different. That's a new thing for BMW, where on the M Performance models, they're now putting the M mirrors, which are really cool.
Yeah.
On the rear, we've got quad pipes for the first time on an M Performance car rather than an M car, because we all see them on M cars, don't we? And I think they look mega on this car. But realistically, these two, they're very, very similar. Which is your favourite out of the specs of these, the black or the blue?
Oh, I don't know. Initially, I always thought the black because I liked how the light stood out a bit more. But actually, I think I like the blue more. I just think it's just a lot cooler. And to be fair, one bit that I did notice earlier on the iX2 compared to X2 is the little adaptive lights you've got right on the corner.
Oh yeah, down here.
Yes, which I don't think the X2 actually has, but you have got them on the iX2.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I think these two cars are very, very good looking. They are different. I mean, the previous generation X2 was entirely different to this, wasn't it?
Completely nothing like it.
This, I think, is far more in line with the whole sort of lineup, like the X2 to the X1, like the X4 is to the X3, that sort of sloping design off the rear. I mean, the rear is just incredibly different to what it was before. What do you think of the rear?
Well, my first thought as soon as I saw this car was, it looks a bit like an X6. I wasn't really expecting it, but it really looked like it, and I really like the X6 for that, and I like the X2 for it as well. It just feels it's not quite as square as like a normal SUV 4x4 would be.
Okay. So here we are in the iX2. It's a lovely place to be, isn't it?
It is, to be fair. You feel very comfortable, like very nice. I don't know, just it feels really nice.
Really, really high quality. Like you've got Alcantara running all the way through. The leathers feel really nice. It's very familiar BMW, but
with a little bit. I really like the nice little changes they've done. The bits that they've changed with the door handles, I think that they're different to anything I've ever seen on a BMW before, but I really like them. They just they make it a bit different. It all feels nice and new. Like
it's fresh but familiar. Like I think is probably the way. If you've owned BMWs before and you came into this, you're not going to be.
It feels like a BMW.
Yeah, you're not going to get in here and feel intimidated by it. You're like, oh, I don't know what anything does, but in here you do.
Yeah.
The big change for me, and this is quite a controversial one because every time we post a video everyone's like, oh, I hate it, is the lack of buttons down here and here now it's very divisive online. Whenever we post anything on it, it's like, oh, I don't know how to think of it. But honestly, you get used to it really, really quickly. It's very easy to use. The new system's really great. You use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto most of the time anyway.
It's quite obvious where you need to go to as well to make the changes. It's not like you've got to go into it and try and find how to change, put your heated seats on, how to change your air conditioning. It's literally right in front of you.
It's the most simple thing, and ultimately I think it's just a change, isn't it?
Yeah.
No one likes change.
No.
But I think it's a really great system. It's super responsive, super easy to use. I love the new steering wheel as well. I think that's so cool.
There's something very comfortable sitting here holding on to it.
It just feels great. It's chunky. You always feel connected to the road with it. It doesn't feel like you're disconnected in any way. I love a pan roof. This is lovely.
It just makes it so much lighter and you feel like you've got so much more space on the inside.
Space as well. There's so much more space in this than the previous generation X2. And it's just a lovely, lovely place to sit. You've got wireless charging down here. You've got Harman-Kardon sound system. You've got a heads-up display. It's just a really lovely place to sit. The interior is fabulous. But now we're going to cut and we're going to talk about the differences in the M35i. And just like magic, we're now in the 35i. And to be honest, it's pretty much exactly the same in here.
Yeah.
There are a few small differences though. Firstly, we'll start right in front of me. So you've got these different gear selector paddles here. You've got a red center forward indicator thing here. And then the main thing are these seats.
Yeah, they are very, very different to the iX2.
They're so lovely.
Feels like there's more space.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't think there is, but it just feels, yeah, maybe it's these seats and the way that they, I don't know, maybe the way they hold you or maybe the way that they're laid out, but I love them. I love these seats so much. They are so good. They're so supportive. You've got like Alcantara and leather and all the different colours. I think they're just fantastic.
I do love this bit as well.
Oh,
the little
it lights up as well. Like at night, that thing lights up.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. But ultimately, there's not a whole load of difference in here, which I think is a really good thing. It's because it doesn't need to be too different, because the interior of the new X2 and iX2, as we've just said, is a great place to sit. It really, really is. But other than that, as I say, there's not too much of a difference between these two cars in terms of, it's mad that this is internal combustion, that's electric.
You can't tell.
But you couldn't tell. You really cannot tell between them. And I think that is a really, really good thing. I think, my opinion on this, I think electric cars have been so different and so wacky for years.
It always feels like it's an electric car, whether that feels exactly the same.
It feels like a BMW still, which I think is a great thing. It doesn't feel massively different or wacky and weird. It just feels like a BMW, which for my personal opinion is, that's what I want from an electric car. I want to feel like I'm still in a BMW, because it's such a great product.